ask you another question. All candidates likely say that we've got to get the deficit under control, and you're no exception to that. But it seems to me that you are more inclined to tax, in this particular case, the wealthy, but you seem more inclined to tax the wealthy than you are to try to rein in governmental spending. What's your view on that?
Well, I don't agree with that assessment. As I just pointed out, we can save $2 billion a week. $2 billion is not small change in Afghanistan. I've called for redeploying the troops we've had in Europe since the Second World War ended in 1945 and the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. Why do we still have 70,000 troops in Europe? Those troops should be here in the United States where they're stimulating our economy instead of the Europeans. So those are places that I would cut back. As far as the debate that's going on right now, I would repeal the Bush tax cuts, or some people want to call them the Bush-Obama tax cuts for those making more than $250,000. And that is going to add about $700 billion over 10 years, reducing the budget. What we've seen from the Republicans, and I believe Congressman Harry Butler supports, I know she supports the Ryan Romney budget, which wouldn't balance the budget until the year 2040. And I know that they've also proposed another $5 trillion on top of our current deficit to have more tax cuts for the wealthy, and that's just the wrong prescription for this country.
But the only thing that you mentioned in terms of cutting was, in a way, an anomaly, and that's a war. Those are going to happen. We've got to spend money for those things, and if you eliminate that war, you're going to ideally eliminate that spending. But there's massive spending going on in this country right now, and what are you going to tackle? Are you going to tackle pensions, governmental pensions? Are you going to tackle the constant spending that's going on by the federal government? What are you going to tackle?
Those are all small potatoes. You look at what we have, governmental pensions, microscopic compared to the military budget, microscopic compared to entitlements that we have, that we've committed ourselves to. And I believe in those entitlements, that we've made a commitment to our senior citizens and to the rest of the country that Medicare is going to be there when you turn 65. Now, what I've also said is that should be matched to Social Security. For example, a person my age, I won't draw full Social Security until I'm 66 years old in 10 months. I would move Medicare up to that same timeline. That's going to save enormous amount of money as well. Social Security, once again, it's been called a Ponzi scheme, and the Republicans want to take the money that's been paid since the 30s and turn it over to the stock market where it might crash under a foolish president like we had.
Some Republicans, not this Republican.
Okay, so you did not.
It's got to get on there. It keeps calling me congressman too. It's congresswoman.
Okay.
Sorry.
My apologies. It's a generic term. I didn't mean to belittle your gender. It is my favorite gender.
Okay. So your view is that there can be some cutting that is necessary there.
Sure. You look at the Affordable Health Care bill, which Romney Care, Obamacare, whatever you want to call it. There are significant savings in there because what we're doing is preventive care. We don't have the saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure for nothing. And what that preventative care and putting people on insurance is going to do is for example, I've got a brother-in-law with high blood pressure. Okay, he's got insurance, so he can go see his doctor, he can get medication. Unfortunately, there are those without health care that right now, my wife, who's a nurse, a registered nurse here in Salmon Creek, they see people come to the emergency room with, all of a sudden they're having a stroke because of high blood pressure. Now that could have been taken care of earlier, but now we're spending more than $10,000 a day to hospitalize that individual, and that all goes back to the cost of health care. And 33 times to repeal all or part of Obamacare, that has been, they've said that's 80 hours of work, and with the few days of work that this Congress does, I think they're in from like Tuesday to Thursday, and very, very few hours when they actually are working, to waste all that time and money and effort to 33 times vote for the same thing. That makes no sense.